in creating the 311 system here. The Today Show showed you what it was. So let's put credit where credit is due. So I was getting dressed the other day, about a few months ago actually, and I had the Today Show on, and the consumer correspondent was getting very exercised about something, so I turned, well, what is she so interested in? And this has to do with consumer rights. And the story she was commenting on is the idea that we should have laws around the country modeled on bills that are in effect in Connecticut and Rhode Island that say when you advertise a product that has a rebate associated with it, if the retailer advertising the product advertises the post-rebate price as the price of the product, then that's the price the consumer pays at the cash register. It's a very simple concept. You pay the advertised price. And if the advertised price is the post-rebate price, then the store processes a rebate, period. Do you know how much money is left on the table in rebates around the country? $8 billion a year of uncollected rebates. So if you like the idea, and by the way, this is not an anti-retailer thing. Retailers have a choice under my bill. If you choose to advertise the pre-rebate price of the bill and say, $11.97 rebate available, that's fine. Then the consumer processes the rebate because the consumer pays the advertised price, right? But if you choose the alternative way of advertising, and stores back east where this is the law, choose one or the other, then the consumer pays what you advertised it should be. Does anybody think this is a good idea? Okay. All right. This bill is a story. I'm going to tell you the abridged version of the story. The abridged version is, suddenly, there is ferocious opposition to this bill from a lot of business interests. And I will tell you, they say, the sky's going to fall, no more rebates. Well, this is the law. It's been the law in Connecticut for 20 years almost, 19 years now. This bill, of all the bills I mentioned, is the bill that has out this meaningful, business opposition. If you think that consumers ought to have the right to pay the advertised price for a product with a rebate is available, please send a little note to the governor right now that says, I support AB 1673. 1673. Someone asked, what do the retailers not like? Well, I will tell you, I am up for a fair fight, and if people have meaningful disagreements on a political issue, as is the case with most issues, there's something on both sides of every issue, right? That's cool. But in the opposition letter the retailers circulated to my colleagues, they said that my bill required them to charge the post-rebate price of a customer, which is not true. And my view is, if you're relegated to misstating an argument, you must not have a very good argument yourself. So I need your help. Now, I have other bills too. I'm not going to mention, but I have a bill to help victims of traumatic brain injury. Many soldiers coming back from Iraq have traumatic brain injury. We are doing a shameful job of responding to the needs of victims of traumatic brain injury. I want to expand services to them. I have a bill relating to some tax issues that are fairly esoteric. I have a bill to help recycling programs, because recycling programs are really important as we try to divert material from Sunshine Canyon. Greg Smith in the City Council is the main proponent of this bill locally. It's a very good thing. Anyway, I want to emphasize the other bills. I have a press conference tomorrow here at the Grossman Burn Center that I'm doing with a colleague of mine whose name is Ed Hernandez, a very good guy. So Hernandez and I are the joint authors of a bill that addresses the following problem. And it's going to seem a small problem to you, except for the people affected, it's a huge problem. Burn centers are critical. Anybody see the article about the young Iraqi boy who's being treated in a burn center? Okay. There are burn centers like Grossman, very few of the quality of Grossman, around the state, whose livelihood, whose existence is jeopardized by the fact that they don't get paid enough through things like workers' comp. There's a firefighter, they don't get paid enough money for the services they perform because the rates haven't been changed adequately. So what this means is that it costs a burn center X, they get reimbursed much less than X. All of you in business know you cannot stay in business very long like that. And so this bill would urge that there be a change in the reimbursement rates. So these centers, which are on the front lines when horrific things happen to people, can be available when those things happen. So I'll be standing with representatives from MICA, the Industry and Commerce Association, Mr. Hernandez, and the Grossmans at the Burn Center tomorrow morning to talk about that bill. Lots of legislation going on. I want to now talk about transportation. I asked to be the chair of the budget subcommittee that oversees transportation when I took office. I asked the speaker for that assignment because in our district, I think there is no issue on a daily basis more important that the state has control over than how to deal with transportation issues. Now, I have been in a serious disagreement with some powers that be in Sacramento, and I'm interested in, even if you haven't asked a question about this yet, in your views on this. As Wayne said, I fought very hard to get the money to create a carpool lane on the 405. Congressman Berman was a superstar 2 years ago in getting federal money for that purpose. And this state money was essential to get the job done. The voters, when you enacted the bond measures last November, including the transportation bond measure, may not know this, but you voted to put a lot of money into building freeways. And not to nothing, I mean, one of the categories was $4.1 billion for freeways. That money was going to go to some freeway somewhere. And I'll be darned if we was going to allow that money to go someplace else besides here. The 405 is horribly congested, right? But if I had the opportunity to take, as Wayne said, $1 billion, in this case it was $730 million in state dollars, and give it to some transportation topic, it wouldn't have been to freeways. We cannot keep building freeways and do that as a panacea for our transportation problems. The Orange Line, what a success, right? You know, they anticipated about 9,000 new boardings a day on the Orange Line. You know what they have? They got 25,000 boardings. It's fabulous. They need more buses. It's great. And even if you don't ride the Orange Line, it's great for you. Because if you just take 3% of the cars off the freeway, you go from bumper to bumper to free flowing. Okay, so we all have a dog in that hunt, right? Public transportation is a big deal. And I've been focused on getting it on both sides of the hill. Up and down the state, for that matter, for public transportation. And one of the things that's on the back there is an opinion piece I wrote for the Times about a month and a half ago or so, saying the state should change the way we allocate funds. Currently, these dollars for transportation go 80% to freeways and roads and 20% to public transit. I think we should change that. The governor's staff came to a committee I held and said essentially 2 or 3% of Californians rely on public transit every day. As a consequence, our priorities should be elsewhere. And you've probably seen my quotes in the newspaper that have said, we could budget that way. We could choose to budget based on old ways of doing business and perpetuate some failed policies. Or we could choose to be visionary, look around the corner, and use our budget as a means of changing behavior so we can have a state that's livable in 20 years. Because I am concerned about, I only mentioned the number of people coming here. I want small correction. They're not coming here. They're here. These are people, this is natural birth rates in Los Angeles with no immigration to our city. We'll bring Chicago to Los Angeles. Just that number of people, roughly speaking, by 2020. It's happening. So we have a choice. Our quality of life is contingent on changing our approach and focusing on public transit. And again, when we talk about this, think about this group. I was thinking as I came in what a cozy thing this was. I know about 3/4 of you. We're all friends. I've said for a long time, and it's a very warm feeling to be here. This is an intelligent, active group where everybody votes. Very few rooms are like this. Everybody votes in this room. Some of you from Chicago vote twice, but everybody votes. And so I need you occasionally to respond when public issues are on the table, and transportation is one of these issues. Folks need to see opinion letters to the editor. Yeah, that's right.